Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors here at Trillium. And one of those moments of trepidation that we have as parents is when we watch our kids starting to make friends, when they're children or when they're teenagers, the kind of friends that they choose for themselves. And the friendships they develop has such a huge impact on where they're going in life. And they tell us a lot about who our kids are. It got me thinking about an old TV show called Leave It to Beaver, about this mythical Cleaver family, perfect mom, perfect dad, 2 kids. The older brother was named Wally, and in a sense, he was the ideal older brother. He was smart, athletic, good-looking. Wally had this friend named Eddie Haskell, who was everything that Wally wasn't. He was a skiver, a manipulator, a trickster. And the parents used to struggle over why Wally wanted to be friends with Eddie and what kind of influence was Eddie having on Wally. It reminds me again that, we live in a world of influences, and people influence who we become. And the choices we make of the people we surround ourselves with has such a huge impact on where we're going in life. Don't be surprised that if you hang out with complaining people, you begin to complain more. Don't be surprised if you hang out with resilient people that you start yourself becoming more resilient. We're kind of like sponges, and we soak up our environment. If you want to be a better tennis player, probably the best strategy for you is to play with tennis players who play the game better than you do. In fact, if you want to do anything better in life, the best thing you can do is hang out with people who do it better than you do. And we're looking at the practice of generosity in our lives, of that generosity practice, going down the generosity path to perfect generosity. And if we want to grow in our practice of generosity, the best way to do so is to start spending time with people who are really, really generous. A few weeks ago, we looked at the story of Paul going through the Eastern Mediterranean, raising funds for the people back in Judea and Jerusalem who were struggling in a drought, a famine. He was falling through in a passion. He had a passion for these people. Today, we're looking at spending time with a generous person to expand our practice. See, Paul didn't learn this idea of raising funds from church communities on his own. He saw it firsthand. He had been hanging out in his hometown of Tarsus for 3 or 4 years. And all of a sudden, Barnabas, his mentor and teacher, shows up on his doorstep saying, "Come with me to Antioch. You got to see what's going on there." And so they make the short journey from Tarsus to Antioch. And Paul sees firsthand the mission to the Gentiles, how the gospel of love is received among non-Jews. And the sort of incredibly outflowing joy and generosity that flows from this moment. And he watches as Barnabas, who's the primary teacher mover of this moment in the church in Antioch. And spontaneously how these people in Antioch begin to raise funds for the people who are struggling back in the home country. The beginnings of the drought famine taking shape. And he watches Barnabas guiding these people to do the best thing they can do in their lives, which is to bless others. And it shapes him forever. It teaches him the importance of what it means to bring about the gospel of love to all people. Paul's mission to the Gentiles is shaped in that moment through the guidance of his teacher and mentor, Barnabas. Who are you surrounding your life today with? What are you reinforcing in your practices in your life? Now, understand one important thing, though. Influences are a two-way street. They go both ways. Your capacity to be influenced by others is true, but you can powerfully influence people around you. It's interesting in that show, Leave It to Beaver, that the Cleaver parents come to realize that the more important influence is not Eddie upon Wally, but Wally upon Eddie. And while the parents struggled to figure out what this influence from Eddie to Wally really means, I can tell you for certain that Eddie's parents are grateful to have Wally's influence in their son's life. Jesus taught us that the influences go both ways in life. He was accused of hanging out with reprobates and cheats and lowlifes, not realizing people that he was actually influencing them by lifting them up by his own presence and example. Your walking the generosity path not only blesses people, but it also inspires them to an even deeper practice of generosity in their lives. One gift starting another.